What's up guys, I am back. So today I decided to go barefaced and show you what I've been doing differently for my eyebrows. Now my eyebrows have gone from hairy beast with no shape to what it is today. Everyone's eyebrows are different and it's a continual journey. My journey has changed these past couple of months. I have been doing my eyebrows a little bit differently. Ever since I got the brow lamination and tint, I have been working my eyebrow routine a little bit differently. So today I wanted to come back into the YouTube world barefaced. I'm going to share with you my tips and tricks on how I've been doing my eyebrows recently and the products on a budget that have made that happen for me. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and talk about the top 3 products that I use to achieve my feathery brow. So number 1, I have recently started using brow pencils again. I'm a huge fan of brow pomade. I have been using that for a long time. Recently, I feel like using the pencil has just made it faster, easier to do the hair stroke or the type of brow that I've been wanting to achieve. So there's 2 pencils that I've been liking. The first one is the e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. Now the shade that I've been liking is neutral brown, and basically this is a brown tone that I can layer to get the effect that I want. So when I did the brow lamination and tint, when I walked out of that session, I saw my eyebrows. They were great, but I felt like I had dyed them black. Now, within the first 2-week time frame, I feel like I was able to dye down the color of black and learn to layer my colors as far as eyebrows to create the shade that best fits me and that I've been liking. So basically, I work with the brow hair that is darker, and then I like to layer my background tone a middle ground. So shade that I've been using is natural brown. What I like about this pencil is that it's thin, it's manageable, I can still do the hair strokes, and it has a spoolie in the back, which is very useful. So I restocked, but in the meantime, while I was restocking this, I actually had the Brow Treats Brow Powder Duo, and it is a double-ended stick. This brow pencil, I actually just used the skinny side. I know a lot of people are a big fan of this type of pencil. I don't like it. Just doesn't work for me, so I don't use it. Skinny side is the one that I actually use. I don't know what color this is because it does not come with a color, but I know I picked out 2 shades, soft brown and like dark brown or medium brown, and I'm using the darker tone recently. I basically use a pencil throughout this whole process. Now I'm gonna go ahead and bring you in so that you can see my eyebrows just as they are, and we can talk about what I'm missing. So brow lamination basically sweeps your hair upward, so it's kind of like a perm for your eyebrows, and the tint dyes it so that you can have fresh, fuller brows. So this one, when I comb it up, it looks full, it looks fluffy, and it works. At the beginning of this brow, I am missing hair. So what I like to do is I like to comb it inward to kind of fill in that gap, and we're good to go. Now my natural eyebrow is very full in the top. These will grow like weeds, like wild weeds, so I have to trim it. Most of my hair growth is here. I have very little in the side. So my problem areas is mostly, if you look at it, in the top section. Now I did get microblading a while ago, and I told you guys that I recently got certified to do microblading, and as you can tell, I don't have anything left, and I'm talking about like 1-2 months in. So obviously your microblading technician needs to know what they're doing, or else you'll get scars or it will fade. That's another story, another day. To even out the front sections, and I want to fill in the top sections, and that's basically my problematic areas. For today's demo, I'm gonna go ahead and take you with me through what I would do to correct these problems. Obviously, to do the feathery brow, you need some kind of hair to begin with. Don't have to have a whole bunch of hair, but in order to create hair and blend it with non-hair strokes, you need hair. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Beauty Treats pencil just to go ahead and take you through what I would do or what I do every morning. Everyone usually brushes their hair up and then starts to fill in hair strokes. That works for some people. That doesn't work for me because most of my problem is up here. So what I like to do is I like to brush the hair down. You see how that is empty? So I'm gonna go in and I'm going to fill in lightly, of course. I'm going to fill in that shape that I want to create. And I just kind of lightly get the areas that I know are a little bit more difficult to get. I basically filled in the shape that I want, and I know what you're thinking. It looks intense, but it really not. Objective here is that I filled it in, but when I brush my hair upward, that is going to be full. So I am creating a really nice cutout shape, like fresh brows. So I only want to shade up to where the hair hits. If the hair was a little shorter, then I probably would not be able to do this. But in my case, I can hide it behind the hair. And that's basically the guide that I use when I cut the hair, because my hair does grow longer. So I usually make sure that I like the shape, and then I go in and I cut around. Another thing that has changed for me is that before I got microblading, I would cut this front part way shorter. So I'll show you some picture references. But now I just kind of leave it medium length. This is not my hair full grown. This is still cut. I know, I'm a wild weed at the beginning. Now that we have our shape, I just go in and lightly fill in the rest. And the lightest pressure is the best. Goal for me is to make it look feathery, natural, but defined. So versus going hard and filling in all the areas, that would make it look more compact versus having some gaps that you can manipulate, like, oh, okay, it's done, but it's still feathery, like I can still see through it. So that's kind of what I do. So here I can go back and do some hair strokes, just brush it up, and I'm okay with leaving some gaps. In order to make this even with the other side, I have to really manipulate the shape sometimes. And here I lightly go in and just define it just a bit. Lightly, that's the key word. And I make sure that I kind of use the pencil to make sure that I get the gaps that I'm wanting at the end, so that I don't do it too compact. So the edges can be a little bit tricky. I do have to cut this at times or pluck it because it gets too wild for me. And it's all gonna depend on the shape that you're after and the effect that you want. If I brush it, you can still see some empty gaps, and that's fine. So that's pretty much what I do to fill it in. And compared to my original brow, I'm just really filling in the top section to create that fullness. Okay, so step 2, you want to choose a concealer that is close to your skin tone and that is lightweight, that has a good coverage. Most of the time during my everyday routine, I don't wear eyeshadow, I don't wear anything. Sometimes I wear eyeliner, but in reality, I want the concealer to blend into the skin, but really clean the bottom of the brow. Not to where it looks overdone, but it does look clean and put together. Kind of like nice, trimmed, fresh brows. 2 of the concealers that I use are amazing. They work for me. I have very dry skin, and most of the time I have to wear heavy moisturizers way before. So what I highly recommend is that if you are doing oils or moisturizers, let that sit. Have a wipey available to you and wipe the eyebrow section. If you do not, the pencil will move around and it will be just a mess. So make sure you have something to clean the area with so that you can avoid this. Okay, so 2 concealers that I like. I I have most of the Photo Focus concealers, the light section, because I like to use it to conceal under my eyes, foundation, whatever I needed, so I kind of like to work with different tones. Now, the one that I've been really liking for under my brows and sometimes for under my eyes, depending, is the shade Light Neutral. It's not gonna give me that super bright under eye or super bright under my eyebrow effect, but it is going to blend beautifully, almost like I have nothing on. So that's kind of what I want. Another concealer that I really like is the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer. Now, I've tried the Camo Concealer, the Camo Hydrate Concealer, and I just keep going back to this one. This one is lightweight, it has good coverage, and it also blends into the skin seamlessly. So this shade that I like to use is the Light Peach. And if you follow me on my Instagram stories, these are the two concealers that I use probably non-stop. I just like them for everyday wear and they last all day. So now, in order to get your eyebrows into shape with minimal effort, you need good tools, and they don't have to be expensive. These are the two brushes that I like to use for my eyebrows. This one helps define the line, and this one is dense enough to really just get rid of the excess product and blend it. When I need to, I will go in with a sponge, but most of the time I don't need to if I use these two together. So another thing I see a lot of people complain about is, why does my eyeshadow crease? Why is my eye so stiff? Most of the time I see a lot of people apply a lot to the eye area, and this is a delicate area to work with. You don't need a lot of product. Less is more. Depending if it's a glam look, this is kind of like more everyday. I don't like to put a lot. I'm just gonna put like 3, and that's pretty much good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the flat brush, and I like to work this down. I have most of it here, and I just apply wherever I need it. I don't like to go super close to the line because then it gets kind of messy. And we're going to take it and just kind of work it down. Do you see how the concealer blends into my skin tone and allows my natural shade of the eye to just kind of like be? So right here, this is pretty much where I would leave it as far as definition. And we're going to move on to our last step. Now, our last step is really going to give you that feathery brow effect. It's going to give you the separation, and it's also going to play with the layers of color that we have created. So the brow hair is darker. The background shade is a mid-tone brown. Now, I like to choose colors for my brow gel that are going to be a lighter tone. That's just my personal preference. You can choose the same colors for the shading and the gel. It's really up to you. So the one that I've been really liking is the e.l.f. brow gel in the color Brunette. It is, I would say, like a reddy brown. When it comes to brow gels, you want something that is heavy duty, but also that it actually takes off. Recently, I tried a brow gel. I think it's from the brand Santi or Sante, and it was great. Like, it really like held my hair together, and it was stiff and it was amazing. But then it came to the end of the day, and not even with my Neutrogena oil-based makeup remover, I was actually taking off chunks of my eyebrow hair, and I was like, So I kept going back to the e.l.f. one, and it really works. I like it. I like this tone in particular. It's supposed to add fiber hair. I don't know about that, but it does have good lasting power, and I do like the shade mix. So like I said, since this brow is missing some hair at the beginning, I tend to brush the front back to kind of manipulate that furry, feathery effect. And the rest of the hair, I just kind of make sure is coated. and I brush it up. Follow my Instagram stories, you know that step, I do it at the very end of my routine, because when you're doing your makeup and you're using powders, more than likely the powder is going to get on your eyebrow. So I like to use this step as just the last step to make sure that my eyebrows are defined, they're clean, and there's still color in them without making them dusty or dirty. A lot of people don't know about brow gel or don't like to use it. I just feel like if I don't brow gel, like, why do I even put on brows, you know? It just kind of holds them in place and it gives you that beautiful effect versus you shaded them and there's nothing on there. Just kind of like that sad brow effect. I don't even know how to call it. No. So this is pretty much what I walk out with on a daily basis. Now, if I kind of move back and you see my face with makeup, it looks more balanced. Right now, it kind of looks a little bit intense, but I promise it's not. So this is pretty much the brow ready to go, shaded, but there's still gaps. So I like to see the empty gaps. When you go into the sunlight, you can see your hair more defined. So there you are. These are all my tips and tricks that I have been doing for my eyebrows recently. The biggest change is that the beginning of my brow used to be shorter, now it's a little bit longer. Also, I kind of changed the spoolie type that I use. Before, I used to use these full ones, and I still like them to comb the hair up, to give you a fluffy effect. But during my actual process of applying the color, I don't like to work with this one. I feel like I actually prefer this type of spoolie. It allows me to move the hair and really see where I still need to place color. Also, since I have tons of hair growth at the beginning of my brow, I constantly am plucking every 2-3 days. And that kind of creates a little bit of texture at the beginning of my eyebrow. That usually is solved with a good primer. Lightly apply it and just go in. But right now I didn't use primer and I feel like it looks pretty good. It is true, guys, we have reached the end of the video and I'm just gonna leave you with one brow and no makeup. And that's gonna be this, it's just gonna be one of those sit down, raw, this is what I do type of videos. So if you have any questions or concerns, please make sure that you leave them down below. Also, make sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications because I am trying to come back on here consistently and I have some good content ready for you. 100 Karat Cosmetics is launching new blushes, so that's amazing as well. But make sure to subscribe and stay updated so that you can know every single time that I upload. Like always, thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.